Pinkertons Ghosts is a horror anthology podcast by Superversive Radio, with no affiliation with any detective agency, person, real or imagined, or the dark forces of Outre Terre. It is not intended for children.
I fled the questing beast's death throes. I couldn't look at the body of Keith Robar. I could only run. If I was sound of mind, I might have looked for his keys once the questing beast's blood cooled. I might have at least hid near his truck. That's where my father and grandfather would have looked first. I might have at least stayed in the forest, and when the panic died away, I could have searched the Ozarks for signs of Morrows. Instead, I ran to the city. My body ran hot and fast for too long. The trek through the immeasurable Kansas cornfields had left me with no food, barely enough water to keep me going. The lights dazzled me. I had been away from people for too long, and an internal need I could not kill drew me closer. I collapsed onto the asphalt and fell unconscious. Instead of the dream within the belly of the questing beast, I felt myself being thrown around. The thin cries of Jack tried to bring me out of the depths. Any time I fought for clarity, I fell down again. A needle pricked my arm. Liquid was forced down my throat. Nothing again. For a long time. I woke up on a couch. Music blared over my head. Some sort of bass thumped and shook me while I gathered my mind and body to strike. It was then I heard Jack cry, breaking through the thumps of pain and the room around me. I heard cheering. My body wasn't ready, but I pulled myself up. My muscles ached. I knew I had the strength to go to him. I would. I must. I heard his cries cease. I panicked. Every time I opened my eyes, bright lights would burn them. I was blind. I knew where Jack was through my deepest instincts. My eyes screwed shut. I threw myself forward, slamming myself into a table. I smelled alcohol. Other things hit my nostrils, and I felt revived and sickened at once. I crawled on the table, making a straight line to Jack. There was a scream. I felt bare skin. Someone kicked my face. Once. Twice. I did not care. I crawled over the leg and onto the body. Jack. Jack. My voice cracked. I felt the wrapping I had protected Jack with yesterday. Jack. Jack. My Jack. I was on someone cheek to cheek. I did not care one bit. I needed Jack. Still blind, but my eyes hurt less and less. Soon, I would open them and look at Jack. My arms intertwined with another woman. As much as the touch burned, as much as I hated it, I needed Jack. I felt his powerful little heartbeat. I felt his head and his little hands. They gripped my fingers tightly. Such strength. He wouldn't let go.
You're close. Way too close. I know you want your kid. He's nearly done. I'm nearly done. I don't have that much milk.
My eyes snapped open. The pain ripped into my skull like someone had run a chainsaw through my sinuses. I couldn't move. She was feeding Jack. My heart beat 1,000,000 times a minute. Her voice, vapid, soulless, mocked me.
No one told me I'd lactate after. Well, I didn't want to ruin my life. I was going to college, you know.
Her words slid off me like oil. I didn't care about her life. I didn't care that she was going to college. What did she mean? Why won't she just hand Jack to me? I looked into her face. I wanted Jack. I needed to take Jack from her, but her hands covered him. She saw the look in my eyes and clutched him tightly.
I don't like that psycho look.
Let go of him. I groaned at her. The words scraped my throat. The girl wore some sort of overalls over a swimsuit top. I had led a sheltered life of few beauty products. I could smell the chemicals, products of death on her. I tried tugging Jack from her, not in a way that would hurt him, but firm. She did not let go. Too much of my skin was touching hers. My legs milled, trying to get a steady footing.
Just a minute, calm down. He's cute. I kinda wish I hadn't had that abortion.
I jammed a thumb into her eye. She screamed. I had Jack. I scrambled back, slamming my shoulder on the tabletop and shattering the glassware. I had Jack. One arm clutched Jack to my body, while the other dragged my weak corpse to the couch I woke up on. I curled around Jack with my arms and legs. I had Jack. I could feel the shards of glass in my arms and legs. I had made a mess of things. I needed to protect Jack. A fist hit the cage of my body. I flinched, shifting Jack closer to me. I couldn't move anymore. The thing that had been feeding Jack screamed at me, cursing with every breath. She threw cups and strange glass bulbs at me. Her eye bled. One hand clutched at the socket. Another picked up a glass bottle. Its cap was still on. I braced myself for the beating. I would be a rock and take the punishment and rage. The first two blows glanced off my shoulders. She had no power. There was not a third. There was some screaming, and then silence, except for the thumping hand noise. Someone sat down next to the cage of my body and shushed me. Her hands rubbed my shoulders and back. They bandaged my arms and legs. My tensions eased. I couldn't keep my defenses up. A napkin of water touched my parched lips. After those menstruations, a glass of water was tilted against my mouth, and I drank. My needs outweighed my caution. Soon I was uncurled. Jack was held by someone nearby, never farther than I could reach, and always in sight. Her pale blue eyes were wild. Her blonde hair frizzed in all directions. She laughed when I groaned and brought Jack closer to my face. I was given vegetables and mineral water, cheese and meat in a charcuterie. My body was massaged. I regained the use of my limbs. I was not a wriggling thing anymore. When they were done, and I was alive, the wild-eyed girl shooed away the other girls and men. I saw one big specimen stand at the door.
Welcome to the Velvet Glove. I own this club. My name is Cassie. What's yours?
I gave it to her. Poor teenage me. I gave it to her. She giggled. She was young for a business owner. I knew that she had been given it, not made it. Her wild eyes turned lucid, as if she had only now been brought to the present moment. As if I had been a dream. But now, I was real.
Oh, I thought so. I knew it.
I was tired and took Jack back. I kept an eye on her. She was surrounded by an aura of energy. My eyes struggled to focus. I had shredded my clothes to ribbons crawling over the glass table. I had smashed some glass. And that same glass had been there for me after I had jabbed the eye out of the murderess.
Don't worry about her,
Cassie sang out. I backed away from her. I had been sitting on the center of the couch. Now, I hung off the edge. My coat and backpack, and all the little things I had needed on my trip, boots to hood, hung off of a mannequin. The mannequin had been worked into a statue of something like Helios, with Christmas tree lights for her crown of rays. Its eyes glowed with the lights behind its cracked eyes. My eyes could see a bit better now, and I could see shapes whispering into Cassie. They weaved into her hair like serpents. They glowed like mist with the sun shining through them. One crawled up her leg, twining about and following a run in her stocking, before reaching her bird's nest of head hair and whispering into her ear. Its message done, it turned its head down the black dress. The strips of fabric cut so high to hide almost nothing, with a neckline so low I could have removed her heart and lungs without staining the dress. The serpent turned solid and wrapped itself around her waist until it was a golden belt. Had the belt been there before? Eyes glittered at the clasp.
Ha! Good! Good!
She turned to me, and in a rush, leaped over the couch arm and landed between my legs. She pried one of my eyes open and stared into the center of the iris.
Oh! You got the full ritual! Lucky! Or not so lucky. You've seen some horrible things, haven't you?
Her voice full of concern. Genuine concern. Not fake. I could see her eyes well up with tears. I could not look away if I wanted. Looking into the unblinking eyes of a madwoman cowed and repulsed me. Her stockinged feet danced between mine. Her wild blue, almost white and paler than ice, eyes rotated in their sockets. She picked at my hair, my face. She felt my ribs and hips. She looked at the nails that had fallen off my feet during my march through the Midwest. She kissed my hand, whichever one wasn't holding Jack. And then she made me switch so she could kiss the other one. She held her forehead to mine.
You poor thing. You traveled so long and hard. Signs and wonders followed you. Elves spoke of you. They nearly took you, but Jeremiah Pike rebuked them by threatening to sabotage their tithe. He made their nobles blink for you. He couldn't find you. You were protected by more than he.
She was too close. Her body burned with energy. She was inappropriate. I hated it. I hated every brush, every careful brush of skin on skin, every kiss on my wounds. Every time she wet a napkin to rub some spot of dirt, I shivered.
He's my father. He gave me the velvet glove to keep me safe.
I tried to wiggle away, but she was too close. I would have had to let her touch Jack if I wanted to move. I protected him with my arms.
Do you understand what that means? What you hold? Oh, he's so beautiful. A little brother for me.
I was mute. Cassie's eyes sparkled. Words tumbled out of her.
I love him so much. You were out for a full day, and I took him out and changed him and read him books and found a nursemaid for him. I don't know whether he still needs milk, but you weren't. I don't know. I could have gotten some SpaghettiOs. My mom used to swear by them, and Sprite and orange juice. That's good for fevers. I think he's got a lot of potential. His eyes always followed me, and he'd cry and cry whenever he was too far from you, and I couldn't bear to hear it, so I kept him close. And my baby brother is so smart! I could talk to him, and he'd goo-goo and gaga back.
I pushed her away. She was not bigger than me, even if she was older. I bowled her down onto the glass table. I couldn't stand straight. One hand supporting me on the table, the other clutching Jack.
I've called Daddy. He's coming to meet you. He says the ritual is ruined, but my brother has more potential than any of my other siblings. Even me. And he still wants you. He loves you, he says.
I couldn't take it. I shrieked. I screamed. I shouted as loud and as long as I could. She laughed.
Hysterics! I love madness. My baby brother has such a strong mother with so much love for him. He needs it for what my daddy has planned.
Stop! Cassie kicked her feet out and crawled toward me, ignoring the shards of glass in her knees. Her eyes burned into me.
He was away and couldn't be reached, but I got word he's on his way just 2 hours ago. It's a long flight from Seattle.
Please! I almost dropped Jack trying to plug my ears.
Aren't you happy? He talks about you all the time. He says you are the best ever.
I shoved her face. She slipped through it and was close to me again. She knelt on the edge of the table. She had nothing but honesty in her face. No, I hate him. He tried to have me kill Jack.
Jack! That's a great name!
She spread her arms out. I found the strength to stumble behind the couch, putting anything between her and me. I was going to sacrifice him. He was born, and my mother was getting me ready when I could walk. I was going to stab him and burn him.
Yes!
But I ran.
True love! It made Daddy love you more. She's not just some pawn, he said. Wow.
I won't let him kill Jack. Cassie was shocked. She fell back on the table, hips over her feet, and covered her mouth.
No! No! Oh no! Not my brother! Don't worry. He doesn't want that anymore. His sin nature is growing in his soul. Besides, Daddy knows you won't give him up. That's fine. That's fine. Don't talk like that anymore. I love you. I'll help protect you.
She leapt onto the couch and grabbed my head in her hands. With strength I couldn't believe she had, she forced my forehead down and kissed it.
We're a big family. He has brothers and sisters. Big sisters, like me. Little brothers need a role model like he will be. He's going to be a mighty hunter. The serpents tell me so. He'll be the Marcher Lord of the Ozarks and protect everyone he can. It's in his blood. The first Morrows were lords serving under ancient Brighton kings and saw the Grendel slaying. They killed monsters for their kings for so many years. It's in their very souls. They came to America with the Roundheads, and now they're here.
Cassie let go of me, spreading her arms wide again.
And you're here to raise him, with Daddy. He'll visit me again, because I'm here. You'll be my mother too.
She pawned at my arm. I retched and shook her off. No, 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 no! I am not your mother! I'm barely Jack's mother. I need to find my father. I need to find my grandfather. She crawled over the couch. My back was to the table. Too close. Too close!
Is there something wrong with me?
Yes! Your Pike spawn! I hate him! Her eyes rolled in her sockets. Tears gushed out.
Oh no! It's turning out as the serpents told me. They told me you couldn't love anymore. They told me. I didn't believe them. I thought I could love you enough that you'd love me. That you could forgive Daddy.
Never! I'll kill him! She laughed through the tears.
You won't, though. Not that you'll believe me.
She took something from the table and blew. My eyes and nose were caught up by the cloud. Pain made me forget Jack, and my hands reached for my face. Everything burned. My eyes, my nose, my mouth roared with a fire that bit deep. Cassie caught Jack as soon as I let go.
What did you do to me?
Lights lengthened. The flashes grew brighter. I could hear symphonies in the music pounding above my head and below my feet. Every bass pulse hammered my brainstem and molars.
Oh dear. Daddy won't be happy. Not happy at all. Well, it's better than letting you hurt him. And my little brother is so cute. Daddy will be happy to see him. Maybe he'll let me take care of him because I did such a good job.
She was lost in the reverie of her father. Not love. Never love. Finding her useful. I hated him so much. I stumbled to my coat, hanging off the statue of Helios, and pulled out one of my bigger knives. It was hard to walk. Whatever she had drugged me with threw me up and down within my own mind. I'd kill her. Find a spot to hide. Keep Jack safe. Find my father. Find my grandfather. I rolled with the floor. I was a sailor in a turbulent storm. I kept my feet on the ground, my body firm, and my knife pointed to her. Give him back. The words came out slow.
No! He's my little brother!
Cassie shook her head and hugged a screaming Jack close. I came closer. Cassie moved to put some tables overlooking a balcony between her and me. The balcony overlooked a dance hall filled with laughing, screaming revelers. They were individual people, but my eyes saw them as one person. Hands, infinite, fractal, burst from a hill of people flesh and reached to me. The mass below gyrated and rubbed against itself. Colors and fabrics ran together, tearing and mixing, and breaking apart and scattering to the four corners. A lump slapped a board and hooted at some console in front of all of them. Give him back! I threw down a table. It fell onto the balcony and sunk through the floor. I stepped over it.
No, I love him.
Jack was crying in her arms. She nuzzled him, but he kept crying. Good boy. I pushed away a chair. I pushed away a chair. I pushed away a chair. I said no! Cassie snap-kicked me in the chest so hard my feet left the floor. I slammed into the balcony railing and tipped over into the open air. I fell into the screaming mass as they screamed and screamed and screamed until I found the stairs back up to the balcony. I swam through the mass, cutting my way through tendon and muscle. I was covered in the thing's gore. I was one with the people. I was swimming against the tide. I stepped through one tough nodule of tendon and ligament into an artery that tried to drown me. I swam through the waterfall into a patch of muscle that nearly crushed me to the floor. I cut the jungle vines until I was free. I fell into a scarlet pool. A white blood cell enveloped me. I couldn't breathe. I pierced the cell's nucleus, and it burst like a bubble. I found the edge of the mass. It rolled away from me like I was a tempest. I was a rock rolling through fresh snow. I was an island sailing through a tempest. I felt no pain. I did not cry. I stepped up on the first stair. A man, an individual, not a part of the flesh below me, stood against me. He ran after I showed him my knife. A Cyclops' monkey threw bottles at me, but I threw them back, and she fell down under my feet. I opened the door back to the room I had awakened in years ago, and just now. And I was in a red dress now, and smiling. So much love, but none for the wretch in front of me. I wanted her scalp so I could keep Jack warm. Winter was coming. I am a good mother. I stalked the black-clad priestess through the halls of tables holding chemicals unknown even to the most choice addict. I followed her into a holy place. Stars stared down at me and my red dress. They played musical instruments in the flat carvings hung on the cyclopan walls. I found her at an altar, covered in offerings to Bacchus, abandoned suddenly in terror. I found her at the hollow ox that spewed steam and water. I found her at the Holy of Holies, and on a green carpet set down on a brown plateau. I straddled her and shoved the blade into her wicked heart. I left it there. Jack was on the floor. I picked him up and kissed him. He wriggled so nicely in my arms. I could have ate him up. I didn't. I love my son. I stood there, smiling into the bundle of God-given life when the door was kicked open. I smiled when I showed the man my son. "It's her! She's here! Tom! Tom! Get up here!" My name was being called by a voice I had not heard in years. "His name is Jack. Do you want to see him?" I showed my father Jack. I looked into my father's large gray eyes, and clarity crept in. I knew what I had done. I remembered the long miles. I wept, loud and long. Orion held me to him, careful about Jack. I held him back. "It's okay. We're here now." Orion, my father, draped his jacket over my shoulders. He looked at Cassie's corpse and swore under his breath. "Don't worry. We'll protect you. Against everyone." My father had not been a strong man when I was so young. My mother had put the boot to him, dominating everything he did. Now, I heard steel. I was safe. He'd die before I so much stubbed my toe. "Dad! I found her! It's bad up here, too." Tom's strident voice came back. "Don't worry, Orion. I know some tricks. A classic Paranormal Pinkerton strategy. I was led out into the night. My dad picked me up in his arms and carried me out to a car. The velvet glove burned behind me. Tom got in the driver's seat, but Orion sat in the back with me.
Dang, they just do not care about fire codes.
Tom slammed the accelerator and pulled out of the parking lot. There were sirens and police lights, but soon they fell back behind us.
If the Jerry's gonna get me, the feds won't either.
He roared with laughter and life. Orion held me close all the way to the hideout. He didn't ask me any questions. Not yet. He took Jack and helped me clean the blood off of me. It took a while, but I felt human. I could talk to them, and I told them everything. I was with family again. I was with people who loved me. No strings attached. I'd never be safe. Not as safe as someone who knows nothing and is nothing but a normal person, living a life unattached to the supernatural and severed from the outre-terre, but safe enough. Tom and Orion began to train me. Orion and Tom built 100 little hidey holes all over the Ozarks so that I could hide until I felt safe again. Control, you came down to talk with me and promised me the resources of the Paranormal Pinkertons. I am so grateful. I cannot express it enough. Control, I have one last thing I can tell you. I need to recount the night I fled away with Jack. You deserve it for what you've done for me. Morrow out.
Pinkerton's Ghosts is a podcast distributed by Superversive Radio, licensed under an attribution non-commercial, share-alike international license. This episode was written by Ben Wheeler and performed by Celina Saucedo. Ben Wheeler edits, directs, produces, and herds cats. Kid Dickerson performs our audio editing. Visit us on Facebook, read articles on superversivesf.com, or listen to us on unauthorized Acast, iTunes, or Spotify. Contact us through Twitter at @PinkertonsGhost, email us at pinkertonsghosts@gmail.com, or send us noble messenger possums with messages strapped to their backs. Don't worry, they know how to find us. Thank you for listening, and good luck.